Amelia and Leonardo's Magic Goggles. As the sun dipped behind the hills on June the 25th, the valley burst into color with wildflowers waving in the warm evening breeze. In a small cottage, a little girl named Amelia gazed longingly at the sky, wishing her dreams would one day take flight with the birds. The world seemed filled with possibility, and the air tingled with magic that only happens in summer twilight. Today felt special, charged with the promise of adventure. Amelia clung to her favorite storybook, heart fluttering with dreams of soaring. Little did she know, her greatest tale was about to begin this very night. Amelia loved stories even more than the sunshine pouring through her window and the sweet berries that grew beside her home. With each page she read, her imagination soared to new heights, where anything seemed possible and adventure always awaited. She filled her sketchbook with colorful drawings of flying ships and magical creatures. Her favorite stories told of impossible feats and far-off lands, and she longed to live inside them. At night, she would close her eyes and dream of gliding high above the clouds. For Amelia, stories were not just words. They were the wings her heart yearned for. More than anything, Amelia dreamed of flying, of soaring above her valley, just as the birds did every day. She sometimes stood at her open window, arms stretched wide like wings, imagining herself carried by the breeze. The moon would cast its silvery glow, and she would let her mind drift on gentle winds of possibility. The world felt vast and full of promise, almost as if it was waiting for her to discover something magical. On this special night, her longing felt stronger than ever. She knew that wonderful things began with a single dream. One bright morning, Amelia tiptoed up the steep, creaky stairs to her grandmother's attic, searching for forgotten stories hidden among old treasures. Sunlight streamed through a dusty window, setting the space aglow and making sparkling motes dance in the air. The room brimmed with mystery. Every trunk and painting whispered of adventures from long ago. Amelia's curiosity buzzed with excitement as she picked her way through memories belonging to generations past. She was determined to find something wonderful, something magical in this secret space. Today would be a day for discovery. Rummaging through mountains of colorful hats, tangled ribbons, and piles of well-loved dolls, Amelia's hands landed on objects that sparked her imagination. Old storybooks with fantastical covers peeked out from beneath faded scarves, and a pile of shiny antique keys jingled softly as she sorted through them. Each item seemed to hum with its own mysterious history. Near a dusty lamp, she spotted a curious wooden box. It was covered in intricate carvings of stars and things that looked like magical flying machines. Instantly, her heart skipped a beat. There was something special about this box. Amelia gingerly lifted the peculiar wooden box from its nest of velvet, marveling at how its surface sparkled in the sunlight. The box was unlike anything she had ever seen. Its carvings of stars, swirls, and peculiar flying devices seemed alive with silent stories. She traced her finger over the images, imagining secret worlds where people soared through the sky. It was as if the box itself held the magic of dreams waiting to be unlocked. With hands trembling from excitement, she wondered what enchanting secret it might hold. This was surely the treasure she had searched for. Inside, nestled on a bed of worn, faded velvet, was a pair of goggles that shimmered in the morning light. Their curved frame glistened with every color of the rainbow, and tiny star-shaped etchings twinkled around the rims. Amelia's eyes sparkled with wonder as she carefully picked up the goggles and held them to her face. She could almost hear a tiny, playful whisper echoing from the box. Everything about these goggles felt magical, as if they were waiting for her to unlock their secret. Her heart raced with anticipation. Suddenly, as Amelia gazed into the goggles' gleaming lenses, a soft, enchanting whisper filled the air. "Put us on, Amelia, and let your dreams take flight." The attic glowed as if sprinkled with stardust, and sparkles danced around her head. She hesitated only for a moment, excitement battling with curiosity in her chest. The feeling was so magical, it was as though the goggles were alive and ready to reveal a hidden world. Amelia took a deep breath, sensing that her adventure was truly about to begin. With trembling hands, Amelia slipped the magical goggles over her eyes. Instantly, the familiar attic faded, replaced by a swirl of shimmering rainbow light. She felt her feet leave the creaky floorboards as colors danced all around her, and sparkling wind lifted her gently upward. The attic dissolved, and before she could blink, Amelia found herself floating high above the valley. But everything was wonderfully strange and new. A magical dream world had opened its doors, and she had just stepped inside. Below, Amelia stretched the magnificent Dreamer's Field, a world brimming with wonders. Towering lilies soared towards the sky, their petals forming castle-like domes that flickered in the daylight. Dragon-sized butterflies danced through the air, their wings painting colors across the sky. The river sparkled with liquid light, and mysterious rainbows shimmered in the distance. The air itself hummed with possibility and adventure. Amelia blinked in amazement, her heart pounding with joy. Amelia wandered in awe through the Dreamer's Field, her steps light and her eyes wide with wonder. Every flower she touched shimmered with music, and gentle giggles floated on the wind like chimes. Brightly colored butterflies zipped past, some as big as Amelia's own hands, their wings trailing magical dust. She followed the playful paths through wild, overgrown grass, feeling as if she had entered a living storybook. The landscape changed subtly with every blink, as if dreams themselves shaped the world around her. Magic pulsed in every detail. Suddenly, a tiny, furry creature with shimmering, iridescent wings fluttered down from above and landed gracefully on Amelia's shoulder. His bright emerald eyes twinkled with mischief and kindness, his bushy tail curling around her neck like a cozy scarf. He looked like a squirrel, but his delicate wings sparkled like a hummingbird's, filling the air with rainbow glimmers. Amelia gasped in delight, instantly feeling at home with her marvelous new friend. This was no ordinary animal. He radiated joyful magic. The furry little creature introduced himself with a cheerful chirp. "I am Scribble, at your service." His voice was musical and kind, making Amelia instantly trust him. He explained that he was here to help dreamers find their way and unlock the magic hidden in their hearts. Scribble's wings fluttered excitedly as he peeked up at Amelia, eager for their adventure to begin. Amelia giggled, feeling a surge of joy and a growing sense of courage. She knew right then that her journey would be extraordinary with Scribble beside her. Leonardo da Vinci, the artist and inventor? Amelia asked, her eyes wide with hope and disbelief. Scribble nodded with a flourish as the landscape behind them swirled and briefly showed shadowy sketches of flying machines, paintings, and swirling stars. The idea that a genius of the past had touched her dream world filled Amelia with excitement. She wondered what secrets and stories awaited her in this magical place. The adventure felt more real, and her heart beat a little faster. With a proud flick of his tail, Scribble explained that the magical goggles Amelia wore were crafted by Leonardo da Vinci himself. Leonardo infused his wildest dreams into the goggles, giving them the power to let others explore imagining worlds of their own. As he spoke, dazzling images of flying machines and sparkling stars floated in the air around Amelia. The goggles were more than just an invention. They were keys to a universe built from imagination and hope. The adventure was only beginning. Amelia felt excitement bubbling up inside her like a spring of laughter. With Scribble's encouragement, she embraced the realization that she was truly part of a magical tale. The world sparkled brighter, the colors shimmered with new possibilities, and her own courage grew tenfold. She grinned from ear to ear, her hands clapping in delight. The feeling was like a dream come true, more wonderful than she had ever imagined. Even the air around her felt happy, alive with hope and adventure. Scribble swooped to a branch and pointed his shining paw toward a breathtaking sight, a sky bloom, standing tall atop a flowering vine archway. The sky bloom glowed with all the colors of the rainbow, its petals gently swaying in a magical breeze. Scribble explained, "We have to reach the sky bloom before the sun sets. Only today, June 25th, does it open to share the seed of imagination that fuels dreams for the whole year." Amelia's heart filled with anticipation and resolve. With a flick of his furry tail, Scribble drew a shimmering map in the sky. He pointed out playful but tricky obstacles ahead: the river of giggles, the whispering woods, and the winding mountain of maybe. Each challenge was marked by sparkling icons that floated like balloons. Amelia leaned in, taking it all in with excitement and a sprinkle of nervousness. Their quest sounded thrilling and mysterious, just the kind of adventure she had always wanted. She felt ready to try. Amelia and Scribble sealed their friendship with a gentle touch. Scribble's tiny paw met Amelia's outstretched hand, and magical flower petals drifted in the air around them. A sense of trust and teamwork bloomed between them, stronger than any fear. It was as if the dream world itself smiled in approval at their pledge to face each challenge together. Amelia felt stronger, not just because of the magic, but because she was not alone. The journey ahead suddenly seemed less scary. With courage in their hearts, Amelia and Scribble set off along a winding path carpeted with rainbow-hued petals. The sun above cast luminous patterns that danced at their feet, lighting the way to their distant goal. The sky bloom shimmered in the distance, a beacon of hope on a dreamy horizon. Each step felt lighter and more exhilarating, as if the world wanted them to succeed. Their adventure had truly begun, with laughter and dreams as their guide. Soon they reached a pond where gigantic lily pads floated like stepping stones. Amelia, balancing with outstretched arms, tiptoed across, careful not to wobble. Scribble zipped just ahead, cheering her on while butterflies danced overhead. Each lily pad bounced gently, sending joyful ripples through the sparkling water. Every step boosted Amelia's confidence, and her laughter echoed across the pond. What seemed tricky at first became a game of trust and courage. As they made their way, Scribble told Amelia the story of Leonardo's very first flying machines. Glowing images of winged inventions swirled in the air above the pond, each one dreamier than the last. Scribble chirped about how Leonardo drew on his wild imagination and never gave up, even when people doubted him. Amelia listened wide-eyed, realizing that great discoveries always begin with brave, creative dreams. She could feel Leonardo's spirit in every step. The pair reached the River of Giggles, where the water sparkled with sunlight and laughter. Every bubble that popped released a fit of ticklish giggles, making it almost impossible to keep a straight face. Scribble led the way, flitting from stone to stone, while Amelia tried to step carefully, giggling uncontrollably. Their laughter echoed across the shimmering river as they crossed, buoyed by joy and determination. Difficulty turned delightful with each shared smile. Halfway across, Amelia slipped, but Scribble's quick pause saved her from a splash, pulling her upright with a giggle and a grin. Together, they finished the crossing, soaked with laughter and draped in sunlight. Victory felt extra sweet when earned through fun and friendship. As the last bubbles burst, Amelia's giggles stayed with her, giving her energy for whatever came next. She started to believe she could handle any challenge. At the edge of the Dreamer's Field, Amelia and Scribble arrived at the Whispering Woods, a mysterious forest where every tree told tales of forgotten dreams. Melodies floated from the leafy canopy, and the ground was carpeted with cushions of moss. The trunks twisted and turned, their bark forming gentle, storybook faces. Scribble warned Amelia to stay focused on their goal, for the woods were famous for distraction and illusion. The deeper they walked, the more tempting stories beckoned. Inside the woods, enchanting stories swirled around Amelia, each one inviting her to listen and wander off the path. A friendly tree leaned close, its bark forming a sparkling smile as it began telling a tale about faraway kingdoms and magical friends. Every story tempted Amelia, making her want to stop and dream a while. Scribble, sensing the danger, gently tugged her sleeve, reminding her of their mission and the importance of staying true to her dreams. Amelia realized the woods were designed to distract dreamers from their path. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and focused on the memory of flying, her greatest wish. The swirling stories lost their hold, and gentle sunlight broke through the dense leaves, lighting the way ahead. Scribble cheered, proud of Amelia's strength. Amelia took a step forward, more determined than ever to reach the sky bloom and claim her dream. Scribble reminded Amelia of Leonardo da Vinci's wisdom, that true imagination was built on curiosity, courage, and a willingness to learn, Magical images of Leonardo hunched over his inventions and sketchbooks flickered in the air between the ancient trees. Amelia listened closely to every lesson, amazed by how an artist's wonder could open so many doors. She felt a rush of confidence and a promise of growth. With Leonardo as her inspiration, no story could distract her now. After what seemed like hours, Amelia and Scribble broke free of the whispering woods, stepping out onto a sun-bathed meadow blooming with hope. Behind them, the last tree waved a branch in friendly farewell, its face beaming with pride at their accomplishment. The air was crisp and energizing, brushing away the last of the woodland distractions. Amelia smiled gratefully, feeling braver and more determined. Their journey was far from over, but she knew now that her heart was strong. Ahead of them loomed the Mountain of Maybe, a mountain that sparkled and shifted in the daylight, its peak sometimes hidden in swirling clouds. Scribble whispered that it was built from the doubts of dreamers, crumbling whenever visitors lost confidence in themselves. Amelia shaded her eyes to study the challenging path. She was nervous, but she also felt ready to face her fears with a newfound courage. The hardest part of their adventure was about to begin. The moment they reached the base, the ground shifted and rocks tumbled softly with every hesitant step. Shadowy wisps of doubt curled playfully around their ankles, sometimes whispering worries into Amelia's ears. She started to feel unsure. Could she really reach the top, or was it too difficult? Scribble stood by her side, squeezing her hand with comfort and support. With every step, Amelia tried to focus on the dreams that had brought her there. Seeing her struggle, Scribble whispered words of encouragement into Amelia's ear. Remember, every inventor and dreamer faces fears, but believing in yourself makes the impossible possible. As Amelia listened, the stones below became steadier, glowing with encouragement and hope. The mountain responded to her courage by making the climb easier, step by careful step. Together, they rose higher toward their goal, letting teamwork and positive thoughts lead the way. When doubt returned, Amelia closed her eyes and pictured herself flying high above the valley, free as a bird. As her imagination soared, the stones ahead of her began to glow and lock firmly into place, forming a safe staircase. Scribble cheered, and the two continued their ascent, each step fueled by courage and hope. The higher they climbed, the lighter Amelia's heart became. She realized belief in her dreams gave her real strength. Near the summit, Amelia's foot suddenly slipped on a loose stone, and she teetered dangerously. In a flash, Scribble grabbed her hand, steadying her with a gentle but fierce determination. Magical sparkles swirled up to cushion and protect her from harm. The mountain, sensing their teamwork, softened its glare and glowed with approval. Amelia realized that setbacks and mistakes weren't the end. They were just chances to try again with even more courage. Moments later, they reached the mountain's peak, panting and flushed but filled with pride. The world below unfolded in dazzling color, endless fields, sparkling waters, and a sky full of endless possibility. The sky bloom glimmered in the distance, beckoning them forward. Amelia lifted her arms in a quiet, triumphant cheer. She'd climbed the mountain of maybe and proven that her dreams and her friendship with Scribble were greater than any doubt. Before racing forward, Amelia paused to look back over the path they had traveled. She saw the twisting river, the whispering woods, and the mountain they'd just conquered, all glowing with beautiful, unforgettable memories. Scribble nestled close, sharing the proud moment. The journey had been filled with challenges, laughter, and discovery, each part making her stronger. Looking back helped Amelia realize how much she had grown and how close she was to reaching her greatest dream. Excitement surged as they dashed hand in paw across the final lovely meadow, a rainbow trail glittering in their wake. The sky bloom at last stood close, its enormous petals shimmering as they started to slowly open. Fragrant, magical dust whirled in the air, making the world shimmer like a crystal dream. Amelia's heart beat faster than ever, full of anticipation and pride. Soon, the greatest magic of all would be within her reach. Before reaching out to the sky bloom, Amelia paused one last time. She placed her hand over her heart, remembering everything she and Scribble had faced together. The field was silent and glowing, holding its breath for her next move. Amelia realized how strong, creative, and courageous she had become. She felt grateful for the adventure and for her loyal companion, just as much as for the magic ahead. At that moment, the sky bloom's petals unfurled in a radiant rainbow explosion that filled the field with dazzling color. Magical seeds spun from the heart of the flower, each glowing with infinite possibility. Amelia and Scribble stood shoulder to shoulder, bathed in the flower's luminous, joyful magic. Every glowing seed whispered a different dream, offering new adventures for anyone who believed in themselves. The magic was overwhelming in its beauty. The magical seeds drifted around Amelia and Scribble, each whispering a promise, a new invention, a wild painting, a story waiting to be told. The air was thick with possibility, brighter and fuller than Amelia had ever dreamed. Scribble laughed and chased a seed of his own, joy radiating from his fluttering wings. Amelia understood in that perfect moment that the world was as big and bright as her imagination dared to make it. Amelia chose one radiant seed, feeling its warm, pulsating magic as she gently tucked it into her pocket. She knew it represented her greatest wish, the power to imagine and create her own possibilities. Scribble hovered close, wide-eyed with approval and pride. The other seeds floated skyward, ensuring the dreamer's field would remain magical for new dreamers to find. Amelia's heart was full of hope and certainty. The dreamer's field began to shimmer and fade, its dazzling colors dissolving into a swirl of gentle sparkles. Scribble grinned warmly at Amelia, sending encouragement and admiration with every flutter. The world felt bittersweet, full of love and promise. Amelia realized that even as she left, the magical courage and creativity she'd found would remain with her always. Change was coming, but she carried the most precious gift. With a last wave, Amelia smiled at Scribble as he hovered near the fading boundary of the dreamer's field. Magical sparkles bridged the space between them, sealing a promise of everlasting friendship. No matter where the real world took her, she knew that magic and courage could always be found in her heart. Tears of happiness gleamed in her eyes, and Scribble's laughter rang like bells. The greatest adventures, she realized, never truly end. In a gentle whirl of color, Amelia reopened her eyes and found herself back in her grandmother's attic. The light of dawn streamed warmly through the window, making everything seem fresh and new. She looked down and found the magical goggles resting in her hands, solid and real. For a moment, she wondered if everything had been just a wonderful dream. But then she felt the tiny seed nestled safely in her pocket. The adventure was real and had changed her forever. The attic felt brighter, as if its every dusty corner had been swept clean by the sunrise and the magic of her journey. Wildflowers bloomed in old jam jars, and beloved treasures sparkled like new. Amelia, feeling lighter than ever, realized that the world held more stories and adventures than she ever imagined. Her goggles and magical seed were proof that anything was possible, if she just believed. She grinned, already planning her next imaginary flight. Bursting with inspiration, Amelia hurried downstairs, clutching her sketchbook and a handful of colored pencils. Her house felt warm and welcoming, every wall ready for new stories and discoveries. With every step, she felt the magic tickle inside her pocket. Amelia was more determined than ever to draw not just what she saw, but what she dared to imagine. The real world suddenly felt full of adventure, and she couldn't wait to begin. At the sunniest kitchen table, Amelia opened her sketchbook and began to draw with a passion she had never felt before. She let her mind wander as her hands raced across the page, crafting new worlds, flying machines, and wild creatures from her dreams. The magical seed from the dreamer's field glowed reassuringly beside her. Grandma peered in with a gentle smile, knowing something wonderful had taken root in Amelia's heart. Each year on June 25th, Amelia would return to that special attic with her grandma by her side. The day became a treasured tradition, a reminder of the magic found in dreamers and in those who believe. Together, they shared stories and laughter, and Grandma listened proudly as Amelia read her newest tales. The attic was now home to their memories and to Amelia's growing collection of magical sketches. Whenever she needed inspiration or courage, Amelia would return to the attic and slip Leonardo's magical goggles over her eyes once more. The sunlight in the attic would turn rainbow-colored, and the seed in her palm would pulse with creative energy. Every time she visited, new adventures waited just behind the lens, waiting for her imagination to bring them to life. The world held no limits for those who believed in their dreams. Through the years, Amelia never stopped dreaming, never stopped creating, and never lost faith in the power of imagination. She painted, she wrote, and she discovered new stories with Grandma at her side. The attic became a portal to worlds beyond, shimmering with the memory of the dreamer's field and the courage it had given her. Each day brought new magic as the dream lived on inside her. One magical night, as Amelia traced starlight on her attic wall, a gentle, wise figure appeared, Leonardo da Vinci himself. He smiled at Amelia, his robe shining with golden stars and gears, his eyes twinkling with pride. Leonardo told her that every dreamer adds new color to the tapestry of the world. Amelia realized that her own dreams would inspire others, just as Leonardo's inventions and art had changed history. She promised never to stop dreaming. Leonardo gently placed a sketchbook into Amelia's hands, its pages blank and glowing, ready for new dreams. Around them, visions of other dreamers filled the attic, children of every color and age, each exploring their wonderful worlds. Leonardo's voice was as soft as moonlight as he wished Amelia courage, creativity, and the joy of endless discovery. She promised to fill her sketchbook with dreams that someday would inspire even more adventurers. With her heart overflowing with hope, Amelia thanked Leonardo for showing her that every dream, no matter how fantastical, had the power to change the world. Leonardo bowed in return, promising to watch over her from the stars. As stars and sketches floated in the gentle attic light, Amelia knew that becoming a dreamer was the most magical journey of all. It was a gift she would carry forever, ready to share with others. On the morning of June 25th, Amelia stood at her attic window with the magical goggles and the seed of imagination close by. Sunlight filled the room, and the world outside felt bursting with opportunities. Today, like every day since her incredible adventure, she was ready to welcome new stories, to laugh and to create. The day hummed with the promise of magic, because Amelia now knew the best part of every story was daring to dream. She smiled, ready for anything. And so, my dear dreamers, as the moon sprinkles silver dust and June the 25th drifts into memory, remember that every dream is just a story waiting for you to bring it to life. Amelia found her magic on a special night, but dreams belong to all of us, whenever we dare to imagine. Until next time, keep believing, keep creating, and let your heart always take flight. Sweet dreams, for the magic is only just beginning.